Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today we're going to be talking about dragon romantasy books. If you have recently read Onyx Storm, or you're waiting for Onyx Storm, whatever the case may be, or maybe you're just getting into romantasy and you want to try out some dragons, you've never read any dragon books and you're just interested in them, especially seeing everyone talk about dragon romantasy recently, and you want to try some out and you need some good recommendations, you're in the right spot. I figured let's make a list of books that might quench your thirst, as it may be. But to quench my thirst, first I have to take my Magic Mind. This is my mental performance shot that I take every morning that just makes a huge difference in my day-to-day life. I just take this as a shot, though I know that you can definitely mix this, make like a little latte out of it, whatever you want to do. It's got matcha and lion's mane mushroom and vitamins and nutrients that really help to lower your stress levels and improve your mental clarity. And that is why I'm so excited that Magic Mind has decided to sponsor yet another video of mine. I freaking love Magic Mind. They have made a huge difference in my day-to-day life with this little shot of theirs. And they also have this other really cool shot to take before bed. This is like lemon chamomile flavored, and it helps you fall asleep faster and stay asleep. It improves your sleep quality and helps you wake up refreshed. Magic Mind has made a total difference in my life. I have ADHD, anxiety, depression, basically my trifecta. I've gone through a lot this last couple years to try to improve my mental wealth, to invest in habits today that will make a huge impact later on, and Magic Mind has been a big part of that. And I'm so excited that they have actually announced a 45% off for you guys for your first bundle of Focus and Sleep. So you can get those two different shots in a bundle and you can get 45% off. You can click my link down below in the description. I'll have it up here as well in the cards. Make sure you don't miss out on that 45% off. This is definitely the time to do so. January is the time to really take control of your mental wealth and just work on those habits that will make the rest of your year run more smoothly and just more peacefully. Thank you again so much, Magic Mind, for sponsoring this video. As always, if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click the like button. Drop your dragon romantasy recommendations down below in the comments, and let's just get into this video. First, let's talk about the obvious. Let's talk about the big kahuna, the one that everyone's been talking about, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. That is the book that has inspired this list. So this series is going to be 5 books, but the third book is coming out. When I'm filming this, I think it comes out tomorrow. I think it comes out tomorrow. Everyone's super excited. This is a Dragon Rider War Academy super deadly school where you really have to fight to survive. Our heroine's a bit on the smaller side. She does have a physical disability, and that makes some things harder for her to do, so she has to find other ways around them and really use her brain to get through some of these obstacles. And there's a romance with a shadow daddy, Zayden. It's a ton of fun. I'm reading the second book right now. I'm having trouble getting through the second book, though I know a lot of people who love it, so I'm gonna get through it eventually, but I do love Fourth Wing. I gave this book 5 stars. I had the best time with it, and if you haven't read it, definitely pick this one up. It's much more on the epic romantasy side of things. Like, this is epic fantasy romance. There is a larger plot. There's a lot more world building. There's a larger kind of magic system. It's a little bit more in depth for sure, as you would usually expect with a 5-book series that follows the same couple. Okay, the next book we're going to talk about is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, a favorite fantasy romance author of mine. And she just started this new series last year, and the first book is When the Moon Hatched. This is in this really cool world where dragons, when they die, they rise up and become moons in the sky. We have our heroine who is an assassin, and she's working like for the rebellion against the king. And there's like 3 different kings. There's 3 different countries, I guess you should say. She's like in the middle one, and she's working for this rebellion. She's an assassin, and you're kind of like dropped into middle of the plot, and she is like on this job. And there is this romance that is amazing. It is like an enemies to lovers, like star-crossed lovers type of romance, and I freaking adore it. I don't like to say too much about Sarah A. Parker's plots because the way she writes her books is she drops you down like in the middle. The plot's kind of already started and you have to figure out how we got here. While I don't usually like that from a lot of authors, like I don't like not seeing how things start, usually the way she does it is just so good. It's done very well. and it just leaves you wanting more. It leaves you guessing, like you just want to kind of like solve the mysteries. And she also is such a beautiful writer. If you don't like flowery writing, she might not be the author for you, because she does write with a lot of flowery descriptions and metaphors and similes and things like that. So I love this one. I think the depiction of dragons in this book is so perfect. I loved it. I loved the way she described dragons, and I think there was the perfect amount, and I can't wait to learn more about the dragons in the second book. It's coming out at the end of this year, and I cannot freaking wait. Okay, next we have a book that I have not read yet, but is definitely on my TBR. I did talk about this on my KU TBR video that came out on Tuesday. I'll have that linked up here in the cards and down below. This is Empire of Flame and Thorns by Marion Blackwood. This is another dragon-like academy kind of thing, but we actually have this girl. She's being like held captive at this Seelie Academy, the Seelie Fae Academy, and there are dragon shifters in here, and she has a romance with the head of the dragon shifter army, and I guess he's like brutal and fierce, you know, all of those keywords. She is a fae, I guess. I'm not sure if she's like unseelie or what, like I'm not quite sure, but this one sounds really good. I love the school setting, I love dragons and then fae, and I think it's going to be a good time. From what I saw, there's also trials, and I love trials. So if you have not seen this one, I've seen this floating around a bit. I think the first two books are out and the third one still has to be released. I think the second one like just came out, and it sounds really good. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be a trilogy. Next is a series that I have read. This is Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale. So I've read the whole trilogy, and this is a Why Choose Dragon Shifter book series. This is very much a bubblegum popcorn read type of book or series. You don't take it too seriously. You're here for a fun time, not for like a long time, not for any kind of deep thought or anything like that. It is just fast-paced, plot-driven, spicy, and fun. We have our heroine who is going to school at this university. She's like, it's like her first day, and it's not like a magic university, but she ends up meeting this dragon shifter. She doesn't know yet that he's a dragon shifter, and he's part of this like horde, I think maybe a horde or a pack of dragon shifters, and he immediately knows that she's his mate and that she must be a dragon shifter, and she does not know that she's a dragon shifter. And in this world, female dragon shifters are very rare, and so things kind of go from there. A lot of craziness happens, especially to the main character, and I think it was totally bonkers. It was totally ridiculous, but it was also so fun that I binged the whole series in less than a week. So obviously I enjoyed myself greatly. These were not 5-star reads, but these were fun star reads, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, next is one that I have not read. I actually thought this one was going to be Why Choose because it's by R.L. Calder. This is Shards of Desire, but this is not Why Choose. Usually I think this author goes by R. Called for their other fantasy romance books that are not Why Choose. So I'm surprised she did release this under R.L. Calder, but this is Shards of Desire, and this is like an icy dragon shifter. So we have a princess heroine who is forced to marry this dragon shifter, and this is all in hopes to basically prevent this catastrophic war. And she's not like happy about it. Like she doesn't want to marry him. So it's forced marriage, arranged marriage, enemies to lovers type of story. This is also a standalone fantasy romance, which is so fun. Like I want to find more standalones. I've talked about that because I am trying to finish out series. So to have standalones to read in between is really nice. So you're not like adding to your series list. And I'm definitely very intrigued by this one. The cover is absolutely stunning, and it's like icy, like snowy, cold setting. So perfect to read this time of year. So if you're looking for something a little bit different because of the whole ice dragon aspect, definitely check that one out. Okay, we have another kind of captor-captive situation here, and this is The Flame King's Captive. This is by Chloe Chastain. This is actually Omegaverse as well, if I'm not mistaken. And I think our heroine is supposed to marry someone, but on the day of her wedding, she is taken captive by this dragon rider who is, I think, the hero, but it's like enemies to lovers. So the synopsis says, he snatched me from the jaws of death for one reason, to be his. I was a dead king's sacrificial bride until his murderer claimed me as his. Zabriel invaded his country of Maladin on the back of a monstrous fire-breathing dragon and took me prisoner. The lethal Zabriel towers over me in steel-plated armor, and he could easily crush the life out of me. But the Flame King isn't interested in harming me. Instead, he destroys everyone who has hurt me in a storm of fire and vengeance. Okay, there's a lot more. Apparently, he tells her she's an Omega, and I think there's a lot more to the synopsis, but I get a little bit worried with super long synopses because I get worried they're going to spoil something. Because oftentimes I feel like the synopses tell you a bit too much, so I'm not going to read more than that. But that sounds very good. This was on my 25 to read in 2025 on my Romantasy bingo. If you guys have not checked out the Romantasy bingo, it's a super fun way to kind of like track your reading in 2025 if you're like a Romantasy reader especially, or you're trying to read more fantasy romance. I will have a copy of the bingo board linked down below and the video with the bingo board where I go through like all of the prompts up in the cards and down in the description as well, because that's a fun way to do it. Anyway, that was on my Romantasy bingo TBR. I'm definitely intrigued. Another one that was on my Romantasy bingo TBR is another Dragon Shifter White Shoes romance, and that is Blitz by M. Sinclair. This one takes place at an academy, at the Dark Imaginarian Academy, and I think this is in a shared universe that R.L. Calder and M. Sinclair have different series in. And there are these Dragon Clan heirs, and there's then the heroine, and it's a White Shoes with the Dragon Clan heirs, I believe. And I think they're all storm dragons, so I don't know if they're just lightning or if it's like lightning and thunder or just storms in general or what that means, but they're storm dragons, which is so unique and super fun. I like it when they change like the classic just fire breathing dragon into like something different, and so these are storm dragons, which is so freaking fun. And then like I said, a school setting too, and White Shoes. Okay, next I actually have a Wyvern book, and this is Sven the Collector. This is the first book in the Dokiri Brides series. It's actually a prequel novella. And in this series, there are these barbarian, kind of like Norse-inspired barbarians that are Wyvern riders, and they have to search out their mates. So this is like a fated mate type of situation as well. And this is a really fun read. There's not too much to discuss because it is just a novella, but it's actually one of the best fantasy romance novellas I've ever read. It's just really well written. There's banter. He takes her captive, but then she takes him captive, which I always freaking love that trope. And it's just very well written and very romantic, and I loved it. It was such a well written enemies to lovers, and she packed a punch in like 100 pages. I need to continue on with that series. I've said that a million times. Okay, next we actually have an epic fantasy. The romantic subplots take up a good portion of the story, so I'm including it in this list, and that is Priory of the Orange Tree. This is a sapphic romance in here, but like I said, this is an epic fantasy. It's a standalone. It's quite large, quite chunky, like 1,000 pages almost, and or maybe like 900 or something like that. But I had a great time with this. There is following multiple different storylines, multiple different characters, multiple POVs. We're in like this divided queendom, and it's a very political epic fantasy, like I said, with a sapphic romantic subplot. Sabrin is like the queen of one of the kingdom or queendoms, and she has to get married in order to like fulfill this prophecy or defend against this prophecy. And Eid is there to protect and watch over her. But Sabrin just thinks she's like a lady in waiting, but she's actually part of this like secretive guild, and she's using forbidden magic to protect the queen. And then on the other side, in the east, we have Tane, who's trying to learn how to be a dragon rider. So she's supposed to be entering this like academy, I believe, or be chosen for this academy to be a dragon rider. So we're following different sides of the world. The east and the west are kind of on the verge of war, and there's just a lot going on politically in this story. It's really good if you're looking for like a standalone that is more on the epic side with like a tamed down romance. Like it's not super spicy. It's not like an in-your-face romance. It's just like a romantic subplot. Next, on the other side of things, where it's much more about the romance, this is Ruby Dixon's Fire in His Blood. This is a dystopian, more like sci-fi dystopian story. It's set on Earth, but it's like a dystopian future where dragons have like opened up a rift in the sky, and they're like attacking left and right all over Earth, and things have gotten quite grim. So there are multiple books in the series, and each one follows a different couple, like a human woman with a dragon shifter. It's so good. It is so good. I need to continue on. It's a super fun series. Ruby Dixon just has a really great way with writing fun romances that kind of transport you out of your life and just into a fun story. Like, she's just such a good writer. Okay, next we have The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert, a very spicy dragon romance. And in this one, I freaking love the cover. I love the cover of this book so freaking much. But in this one, we have a woman who has been abused and she signs up with this demon to become a dragon's, or really any monster's bride. And then she goes through this whole auction process. She knows that she is going to be protected. Like, the women in here are super protected. Each book follows like a different woman and romance. They can't be harmed. They are then guaranteed basically anything they want after a certain period of time of being with their like arranged mate. They don't have to touch them. They don't have to do anything. So they're very, very protected, but it is an arranged marriage. The series is called A Deal with a Demon. And in this one, our heroine ends up being picked by the dragon and they have a romance. And if you like size difference and double eggplants, definitely check this one out. And that's right, I did say double eggplants. Finally, we have Dragonfound by Sam Hall. I have not read this one. It's another Why Choose fantasy romance. So in this one, she is a dragon rider and she expects, like, she bonds with a dragon and she kind of like shows the king and queen like her and her dragon together, but I guess they're not good enough. So they're sent to this academy for dragon riders and there she meets her mates. And it's 4 men and then she's told to find her husband among them, but she meets these 4 men who have been protecting her the whole time in the academy. I'm very intrigued by this one because the other Why Choose dragon romances are all dragon shifters, I believe. And this is the first one that's a Why Choose dragon rider, which very much intrigues me. It also has really great ratings on Goodreads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I loved bringing some dragon romance recommendations to you. I hope you got some good recs. Please leave your recs down below in the comments. And don't forget to use my link down below to get 45% off of your Magic Mind bundle today. Get this now. It makes a huge difference for your mental wealth, your focus, your sleep, and so much more. So don't miss out on your 45% off today. If you want to follow me on social media, all of my links are down below in the description, including my Goodreads Instagram, my Patreon, and the link to the Hideaway Discord. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.
You felt that way, and guess you try to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to